Right. You
Beautiful.
cannot have anybody else do it for you. You have to do it.
Exactly. So when you stand up and you write your letters to the Vatican or to the Governor General or the Attorney General, whatever it is, and your mayor, because now we've discovered who's really got all the power in the local community, or whoever it is, it's got to come from you. When you get a template letter and you just paste your name in there and someone else thought those thoughts, well, they get sense of that. They can tell, you see. And handwritten letters, when they receive a handwritten letter, they know that it's coming from you, right? So, but these days we've got computers, so we shoot off these letters. But if you are the author of the thoughts on that letter, they know. They know if it's coming from you. And they can tell the difference. And
isn't that what the universe dictates to us? Until we have an exchange of energy, our energy. Can't borrow anybody else's energy. We have our exchange of energy for us, then it will be accepted.
Yeah.
That's why taking other people's works and making them templates and putting them out there does you absolutely no good but building bad karma.
Yeah, so when you learn and you grow your knowledge to be able to say with your own words, you defrauded me, there was no disclosure, I am, I do not carry a name because that's sinning. That's why they want you to sign with your name, because a name is your negation of your divinity. Because God, as he said in the burning bush to Moses, he says, I am. Who shall I say? I am. But I need a name. I am. I am that I am. And the lesson there was that we are all participating in that oneness. Therefore, we are all participating to this conscious soul that lives in this universe. And then the moment that we decide that we want to be a little unity off on our own and we want to have this precious name with a surname, Santo Bonacci. Yes, Your Honour, I'm Santo Bonacci and I plead not guilty. Well, that's what they want you to do. And so they need to save you because you don't know, you haven't saved yourself. You don't know who you are. So if you're going into their courts, that means you don't know who you are. And they know that they've got you already. And they can spank you and wipe your bottom and send you to prison and salvage you because you're unsaved. You're still lost at sea and you're still a little baby that they need to look after because they promised God, their false fictional God, that they would. They swore they would. They swore that they would uphold their legalities and statutes and legislation, and they call it law, of course, but they swore that they would. So they're just doing their job. If you walk into court, if you should have to one day, and you know how to talk to them, man, you're out of there. It's like a hot potato. They don't want to know you. You're out of that court. Goodbye, sir. Thank you. We appreciate your visit. Next, please.
Yeah, they just want with templates, if you want to call them that. What you find happening, and I get emails, well, I use so-and-so's process, and I use so-and-so's process. And my first answer is, yeah, you did, but it wasn't yours, so of course it failed. What you have to do is take anything that you find, again, and we talk about this all the time, this is due diligence. It's like this. I went and I got burned in a fire, and I said to somebody, I said, okay, well, there's the template. Don't stick your hand in the fire because if you do, you're going to get burned. Now, if they want to go ahead and do the exact same process to figure it out for themselves, that's entirely up to them. Whose fault is it? And this is the problem that we have with the ego. The ego always wants to blame outside of self. So when I put a template together, or some letter, it's more of a blanket letter for them that are receiving it, not the ones that are giving it. I'm more interested in waking them up inside. The people that are doing it on the outside are already awake enough because, hey, they crossed my desk. If they came to my desk, then they're ready to do something. They've already made that known by making the effort to find me and Santo and you and everybody else. So that's when you know you're dealing with it. But that's exactly the problem that I deal with most of the time, in that people are too busy trying to have it already solved. They're asking a question, but they're already answering it themselves, and they want to hear your answer. They're just trying to think of the next clever thing that they're going to say. But you're right, Maria, and absolutely, templates do not work if you think you're just going to go out and not fully understand something and expect it to work. That's not how. You have to make it yours. And Santi, you said it. You said it so clearly. You take a letter. I mean, you've written the Vatican. I've written the Vatican. The Queen. We've written them all, buddy. And we make no bones about it. They know who we are. You can.
I find that templates are a beginning thing, Kate. Exactly. And information is good, but until you infuse your energy into it, you cannot have anybody else's energy work for you.
No,
it
absolutely.
Can't be your energy.
Absolutely. That's why I just wanted to clarify that in saying the templates do work if you make them yours and if you take full responsibility for the knowledge that you are applying to it. All we can do, when you do the webinars, and Santo and I and everybody else, we all do the shows, and we try to explain as much as we can. Peter has gone over the same thing over and over, and I still get the same questions. That's okay. It takes a bit for it to sink in. It's a heavy truth to, you got duped. Get over it. So, again, that's why we do this. And there is a bit of hand-holding with some, not as much. And there's been many of us, like yourself and Santo and myself and so many others that have been through the mill. And the last thing I want is to have them experience that, unless that's what they want to experience. But don't turn around and I had someone right after the Judge Bows video come up to me and says, you're probably going to be responsible for 40,000 people going to jail. And I said, because I put a video up? No one knows the 7.5 hours. They can't base 2.5 minutes on a 7.5 hour standoff. So if you want to do that, go ahead. You don't have all the facts. You don't know what I wrote. You don't know what I did. You don't know what I did leading up to it. You didn't know what I did after it. You've got no idea. I had these.
That's true.
I terrify.
My pet answer is, if you don't know how to defend it, don't do it.
Yeah,
it's a get into jail card if you try that.
If it ain't yours, don't claim it.
That's right.
I think the system does that, don't they? Yeah, don't do don't do the system thing. If it ain't yours, don't claim it.
It's amazing. I heard a story the other day. I was at I was at someone's house where these people are looking for remedies. It's a small group that I look after about 10 minutes from my home, and we get together once a month and we thrash out the new things that we're learning. And a young guy was there. He's probably in his 30s now, but he said he's been to court many times, and he's been in front of the judge where he's actually abused the judge with the vilest of words. And he says, and he'll talk to the judge like, so what the F has this got to do with me, you effing idiot? Believe me, this guy's got no reason to lie. He's done this. He has actually done this. And because he exposed that the whole thing has got nothing to do with him, the judge basically just had to close the case and just let him go. Mm-hmm. He swore at the judge. I've seen my niece do it. 3 years ago, they came my niece was staying at at her sister's place, and her sister's boyfriend was living there at the time, and he's got a whole heap of fines outstanding, probably about $30,000 or $40,000 of fines and all that bullshit. Anyway, the police turned up, probably about 10 police sheriffs. They had tow trucks to tow his car away and everything. There was there must have been, to someone driving past on the street, there must have been like 1,000 policemen. Anyway, Layla, my niece, she opens the door, and one of the policemen says, we're here for Andrew, blah, blah, blah. And Layla said, not interested, go away. She knows, because I've taught her, she knows how to deal with police and everything like that. Anyway, this policeman wouldn't go, so she kicked him in the nuts. But anyway, the policeman took her to court because she made a mistake by making a statement. She thought it was the right thing to do, and I wasn't there at the time. I didn't see her making the statement. I would have advised her against it. Anyway, so I had to go to court. And I saw Layla. She's pointing to the judge. she's pointing to the police officers who are setting her up because they forced her to defend herself. She was trying to shut the door. He wouldn't let her. So she kicked him. That's self-defense. Anyway, she's calling the policemen mother effers, criminals, thugs, pigs, animals, all through the court case. And the judge was a nice man. And he knew I was sitting in the courtroom. He knew who I was. And he knew that there were a few people who knew their stuff in that court. So he let her off with a $250 fine. Now, way back then, we didn't know how to, do everything properly. So we told Layla, just accept that, and she accepted the fine. Didn't pay it, of course, but that's how the court case ended. But the reason I'm telling you this story, and it's a very long story, which I've really cut short, was Layla, my niece, in her 20s, is there pointing at police officers, calling them dickheads. I forget the language that she used, because it came from her heart. She was angry from her heart. She was showing. See, it's got to be from you. It's from you. The judge was a beautiful man. He so admired my niece. He so admired, and the cops were taken aback. They thought, well, don't we look stupid here? We attacked a little girl in her own home, and she kicked me because she was defending her, and now we're taking her to court. Don't we look like a bunch of criminals? She is 100% right. They couldn't deny it. So both these examples that I'm telling you guys is examples of young people knowing who they are. Perhaps they don't know all the procedures, but they went to court, calling the judge an idiot, a buffoon, and telling them what's for, and walking out of there free. You can do it.
And that's exactly what I did, Santos, in the little tiny town out here, when the judge tried to get up out of his chair 3 times to leave the room, 3 times to make an exit and a recess. And I absolutely would not accept his offer to do that. Upon proof of claim, by the time the 40 minutes was up, the poor judge had aged 20 years, was so tired, hot, and hungry at noon, and the poor prosecutor was so upset she was as red as her shirt, put down her pencil, never picked it up again. And only because I demonstrated I knew from my heart, you got some proofs of claim that you got to prove before you can do anything to me. And, again, the case got dismissed a few weeks after that. But they never called me back into court again. And
Have you guys heard of Batman and Boris, the guys from Peaceful Inhabitant? They do talk back. They're really good. And what Batman teaches is to go into court virtually and say, has any of this got anything to do with me? No, it hasn't. It has to do with your corporate fiction. But has it got anything to do with me? Because I'm out of here. Because they can't pin it on you. So all you've got to do is go, has any of this bullshit you're doing today, has it got anything whatsoever to do with me? No is the answer. Thank you, Judge, for making a legal determination that I'm not the person you're looking for. Bye-bye.
And that's what my judge had to do. He had to come back on the record and answer my questions the third time around, because I had learned, and I try to teach everybody, if you say these things, you know who you are, and you do it 3 times. The third time, if the judge does not answer you on the record, the judge forfeits their entire career. Retirement, money, wages, all gone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The judge had to come back in when I said, you can't punish me on a road you don't own. He says, no, I can't. You can't punish me when there's no law that says I'm required. No, I can't.
Beautiful.
About 4 or 5 statements he had to answer on the record. It took me 40 minutes to go through 4 statements 3 times.
Those are the best kind of answers, questions, because you need to ask. Be the king. Ask king. Ask king the questions. And that's what they do. And that's beautiful what you just said. Probably the best part of the show.
That's
the most powerful part of the show.
That's the offer, the acceptance of their offer upon proof of claim that they prove they can do whatever they're doing. Put up or shut up. And that's
Exactly.
why I started out saying tonight is that even with the popes and all this other stuff, the information that we have, you technically just need to say, excuse me, but I accept your offer that you can do whatever you want against me upon proof of claim that it applies to me.
Exactly. Guilty to the well-stated facts.
Yeah.
Where are the facts?
I know. It would have been a beautiful teaching CD, but unfortunately the little tiny court wouldn't give it to me.
The person.
Well, again, that's it. I mean, it is all about acquiescence by consent. I mean, if you say that that's who you are, then you are actually consenting in the ethereal level to being one of their fictitious illusions. That's why I get really, my skin crawls anytime I hear the old name. It's not mine. I pick my own. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
that's why we go in and say and challenge the agreement, Kate, on the issue that their assumptions are not based on defective statutes. Defective,
well, that's it.
Whatever you want to call it.
That's where the bonds come into play, because the bonds are that one thing that until you call that bluff, they're going to use the bond, because until then
right.
It's assumed under assumpsit, presumption, lex mercentorium, right? You are a merchant of law. And that goes back to Edward
mm-hmm.
the First. So I mean, there's really it boils down to just knowing who you are. And I would love that, eh?
Yeah, I find that the more pictures we give out there, the more we're going to have somebody waking up one by one, just because my picture inspired them, or your picture, your explanation of the situation, Rio's, Santo's anybody's explanation will create a different kind of a picture that may be inspiring to someone out there.
Well, here's my philosophy on all that. It's once you present information, it's not so much definite that they have to believe what you say at that time, because I want everybody to go do their own research. That's all I've done for 30 years is research. But it's very important that they hear and try and listen to what you say and let it bump around in their head, and they will start pulling out of what you say what fits in their little box. And it's really important that you let them expand their mind at their own rate and not try and cram something down their throat. All you need to do is present ideas and information that's not widely known.
Yeah, again, I just call it planting seeds, and this is the whole drive-through mentality we have here. Everyone's been so conditioned to get all irate when it takes 2.5 minutes to get your burger at the drive-through,
Right.
So it takes a bit of time, you plant the acorn, I'm sorry, you're not building the cottage just yet, you got about 50 or 60 years to wait.
And like you said, Kate, these guys, they're servants. They are slaves. They are our servants, and they are good servants. They are very good servants. In fact, they are committing crimes on behalf of their master. That's how good they are, and that's how obedient they are. So they're just waiting for the true master to walk into court and to give them instructions, and they will follow your instructions, for they are good servants. They promise to be good servants. They've always promised to be. And the reason why they've made the wrong decisions, let's call it, on our behalf, is because they haven't been instructed as to who is their new master. Until such time as we declare that we are the God in the courtroom, they will follow their other God, their fiction, and they will obey them because they are good servants. That's what they do. They serve. They do nothing else. So we have to teach them how to serve us properly.